MYLIOUS Johnson alla batteria.
Welcome to MYLIOUS Johnson. Thank you for being with Planet Drum.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Grazie.
MYLIOUS, you're. No, let's start from the beginning. You're considered one of the new generation drummers. New. How old are you?
I am 47. New.
Well, so you're. New generation. Considering Steve Gadd, who still plays at his 17 most 17, yeah, something like that. So you're pretty new.
I'm still here. Yeah.
So you're pretty new.
Yeah. Considering. Yes.
But you started playing gospel and in churches, and you moved to jazz, hip hop, pop, and also you moved then to rock. I've read that you bought nearly the entire collection of Led Zeppelin and The Who. Is that true?
I did. It's true. It's very true. I had to learn quickly, how you say, the vocabulary of rock music and the dialect of rock music. So I had to listen to the great drummers. So I automatically attached to John Bonham. To me, he was like a hip hop drummer. Somehow, so I always attached to him. So I just went and got the records and just started to listen to what they were doing, not just one song, but what they did over the course of many records. This is a dialect, this is a vocabulary, a discussion. So I thought it was best to listen to everything, and me and my friends stayed up all night listening to all those records pretty much. Yeah.
There was a great music to learn with.
Great era of music.
You're also well known for your exuberant style of playing drums, but also for your attitude in many different interests. You're a producer, DJ too. How did this passion start, the DJ passion set?
Actually, because I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I'm a hip-hop baby, which means that hip-hop is my older brother. Rap music, it started in the Bronx and basically my neighborhood, South Bronx, and it's a part of my life, and part of hip-hop is DJing, breakdancing, and graffiti. They call it the Trinity. So if you're a part of hip-hop, you learn to DJ because it's part of sampling, and part of sampling is part of producing, part of making beats is, so to me, it's all one thing. It's not two separate things. It's just a different expression of music. So in fact, DJing to me sometimes is better, because I get to play music that I normally wouldn't get to play. I get to, as a drummer, you're kind of limited to the artist you're playing with or the music you're playing at that time. As a DJ, you get to kind of do what you want. And the cheat code is I'm a drummer. So I don't DJ in terms of style or how they say a genre. I DJ in terms of rhythm. If the rhythm goes together and the songs make sense together, the style doesn't matter. It's about music. So I DJ in a different way from a standpoint of a musician, not as a DJ who's playing a genre.
Which could be interesting also for musicians then.
It's really interesting for musicians because the more you listen, the more you can reinterpret. DJing has helped me listen to a lot of music that I normally wouldn't listen to. Yep, and it's also provided another outlet to express. I'm on radio now. I have a radio program on Icon Radio in Lecce, and we're being syndicated through the internet and worldwide. So, it's becoming another outlet to express myself musically, yeah.
Well, as a drummer, I understand that you can't listen to all the DJs stuff, but in this way, I'm very curious about it.
I do. I listen to a lot of DJs. In fact, honestly, I listen to more older drummers and older music than I do a lot of newer stuff. Obviously, I'm watching everything and listening to everything, but I listen more to producers and DJs now than anything else.
One of my questions was, what do you have in your iPod? So now you already answered it. So.
Everything. In fact, I was on the way here. I drove here from Lecce here to Rome, and on the way here, I was listening to Stromae, the new album of Stromae. It's an incredible French artist, and the record is incredible, and it's entirely in French. And my wife was in the car looking at me strange, like, do you even know what he's saying? I said most of it, but I'm not listening only just for the words. I'm listening also because the music and the production, the level of production. I'm listening to all of it, the style, everything. I'm listening to what songs I can add into my DJ set. Yeah, so, you know, I listen to pretty much everything. I was listening to Meshuggah. Yeah, it's completely different types of music, yeah.
That's the way it's your job, so it's good to always get updated on everything.
Well, to be a professional drummer, I think you have to be well versed in everything. Yeah, you can't just play one thing. No.
And I've seen that you have electronic pads, triggers in your set. How do you use them? And do you have special effects too during a performance?
Depends on what's going on the actual gig. You know, every gig is different. With Nicolo, we're triggering. With the Ultimo, we're triggering a bit. The snare drums for the, you know, repeat some of the sounds from the album. There's some special effects here and there, but it really depends on the music. You know, like for Georgia, the past records, her first records weren't so electronic. In the last few years, they've become more electronic. So my drum kit over the last 11 years with Georgia has changed. And I think this next tour, everyone will be surprised. It will start to change again. Yeah. It will be more electronic than before. It will start to change again. So, is that it just really depends on the music, you know. Playing with Pink or Bjork, again, all electronic or all acoustic. It really depends. And honestly, with Nicolo, there's some songs there's triggers, and there are other songs there's nothing. It's just natural drum sound. So depends on the song, depends on what we're trying to interpret in the show. All of this depends. There's no real way. When I'm doing my music, I use a lot of triggering because I'm playing hip hop and breakbeat and with my new project. So in this respect, yes, I'm triggering a lot with my personal music. Yeah.
At the service of the music and of the artists.
Yes. It depends. You reproduce what needs to be reproduced, and sometimes that requires triggering. That's it.
Now, you're a well-rounded drummer with your balanced style, and we just talked about it. This places you in the realm of new drummers in today's music. Thanks to your attitude and versatile style, you have worked with many important artists, such you named some, Pink, Mariah Carey, Chasone, some, but here in Italy also with Tiziano Ferro, Giorgia, Gianna Nannini, and now with Ultimo, just during this interview where you are playing with Ultimo. Are there differences in how you approach playing different situations, and how did you get the gig with Nicolo?
Well, we'll start from the last part of the question first. At this moment, Nicolo and Georgia have the same touring agency. So Vivo contacted me because Nicolo was looking to change the band, and he wanted to get in touch with me. And luckily, they have the same touring company, so production company. So it was a simple call, and they called me, and I said yes, I would go to work with him. For the other gigs, how did I arrive? I started here in Italy in 2003, 4 with Giovanotti, and he saw me play with Pink. I was playing with her for maybe 8 or 9 years at MTV Awards in Edinburgh some years ago. And we made a connection and arrived to me in LA in rehearsal through Alessandro Alessandroni. And yeah, that was the end. I came to Italy to play. Once I got here, I enjoyed myself. I met other musicians and other artists, and it just one after the other one. Yeah, it kind of went like that. The approach is different based on who I'm working with. You know, Lorenzo is, he's not Georgia in terms of a singer, vocally. He's more of a poet and a rapper. So his music is, to me, more rhythm-based. There's more freedom to play with Lorenzo in terms of rhythm. When I start to work with Tiziano, they want the music closer to the album. So it's a bit more restricted. And as you move on, Gianna Nannini, she wants to hear the record, but she's a rocker. So the sound changes. You know, bigger sound, wider notes, you know. So the approach is always different depending upon what music you're playing. The challenge is, it's only 12 notes for everybody. So you have to recreate yourself and those 12 notes every time.
Make them work.
And make them work, yes. In different situations, in different ways. Yeah, this is the challenge. Yeah,
Well, yeah, with Giovanotti, it's talking to you in these minutes. It's like the artist that I mostly see working better for you. You said you have free spaces there.
Free spaces there, but then again, like with Georgia, who is a singer, but there's a lot of free space. Yeah, I've been playing with her for 12 years. There's nothing but space. She's a musician and she gives us space. So that gig is like no stress, zero. You learn the music and you go and interpret it at the best of your ability. That's what she wants. For a musician, yes, and yes, there are parts in the show we have to play like the album. Of course, the job, a professional musician is a professional musician, but there's space. She never says, play it like this. You understand? Sometimes you hear that, and it's okay, because the album is the album. The artist has the right to ask. It's their music. They can ask for what they want. So this is not an issue. But if you ask me what's fun, is to go and just interpret the music. They give you the music, and they say, do it. This is wonderful. It doesn't always work out like that, but the other way is not bad either. You know, it's all, in the end, it's all music. So you have to find the flow in every situation, you know. Yeah.
And that makes you a professional drummer, makes professional drummers.
I hope so.
Well, the story says that apart from being a musician, who is MYLIOUS Johnson?
You know, that's a very interesting question, because I've only ever been this. You know, I've had a few years in the military. In the beginning, I wanted to box, because my dad was a boxer, he was a champ. My uncle Ray was a boxer, he was a champ. I grew up in the gym, and I still box till now. I'm training boxing things. And I had this passion for boxing. And then I realized I didn't like getting punched in the face as much as I like playing drums. So I decided, all right, it's better, you know, real conversations with my father about how long careers last. You know, the window for boxing is very short. Music you can do forever, yeah, you know. So as a life choice, you can always box and train as a hobby at a very high level, but your career should be something that you really love, and that you can sustain. And that's what was told, and it was good advice. To play the drums, actually, I was telling someone this, the same muscles you use to box are the same muscles you use for the drums. Literally.
Drumming is very physical.
All physical. There's no volume knob, there's no button. Yeah.
You said you're from New York, from the Bronx. What is the pushing idea that takes a man from New York to Lecce, to Italy, and then to Lecce? Because you've been in Milan for a period of time, and then you moved to Lecce.
Yeah, and then I moved to Lecce. Music, man, music, life. You know, after a while, you know, music, you travel anyway, and you start to see the world, and you start to see that as wonderful and great as New York is, the world is enormous. And there's a lot of places as beautiful or even more. And you do yourself a disservice. You know, if you are able to travel and go, you should go. If you have the opportunity to move and live somewhere for a little while, you should try. And I'm lucky because I have a career that can move in each country without any problem. My job is technical enough that if I know the right people, I can actually do that job in every country. Yeah, and I understood that, and I said, okay. I told my dad when I was young, I want to be the best drummer in the world, and he said, the world is big, son. I don't want to disappoint you. There's no way to be the best one in the world, because you'll never hear everyone in the world. So how can you say who's best? What you can be is in the world a very well-known drummer, one of the best in the world, which means you gotta go. You gotta go to them. They're not going to come find you. And he gave me the mentality of the boxer. He said, when I won the belt and your uncle won the belt, we didn't make people come to us to fight. We took the belt to them to give them the opportunity to take it from us. No excuses. I'm coming to you with the belt, and you can try. And the mentality is this. And I kept that, and I adapted it to the drums. So when I came to Italy, there was no fear. In fact, zero. I didn't speak the language, but I knew I played the drums, and I knew I understood music. So I was able to just go and do. Japan the same, France the same, Switzerland the same. Yeah, it's like this. You go there, and you put the stick on the table.
Your father gave you many good advices.
My grandfather, just words here and there to push along a little bit the idea. But I was crazy anyway. I wanted to go.
I understand you. I've been living in India for 4 years and no language at all. It is, and thanks to my father too, and it made me what I am now. I was very young, and I understand you, and that's a real challenge in life. And if you pass that, then you can go everywhere. You don't feel, I believe, American, but you feel a son of the world.
In fact, I am very tired of this discussion. American, black, white. I think as a human conscious, we will never progress until we start to really look at ourselves as the same. And then we'll start to think differently. As long as I'm black and you're Italian and he's an Indian and he's a German and we keep making these fake lines everywhere. How is it we can eat each other's food, listen to each other's music, but we can't shake each other's hands? It's just a strange thing.
It's so simple. It's seems so simple.
United States was fighting everywhere around the world, right? Everybody angry for years. But as soon as we come to play music, all of that goes away. So how is that possible? If you bring music and food, everybody stops being angry. It's just weird sometimes. It's a weird dynamic to me in the world. It's difficult to explain, but I think it's a very simple solution. Less mind, more hours, and then maybe we can start to understand something.
Yeah, maybe the solution is easier, but people who should take it don't really like it because they own most of the things, so they want to keep them for them.
I mean, you can own what you own, you can have what you have, but sometimes there's a point of sharing, and there's a point, not even so much sharing, just caring about what's going on with someone else. Doesn't mean you actually have to do anything except give your time and a little bit of compassion to help. Doesn't mean you have to give money. Doesn't mean you have to give something that you own. But what's more valuable is your time and your compassion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
What is your favorite Italian dish?
I had it last night, a matriciana. It's my favorite one. I go crazy for this thing.
Which is close from here, from Rome.
Yeah, it's from here. Yeah, I ate it here last night. Every time I come to Rome, I take that one. It's the first one I get. The second one I like is cacio e pepe. And there's a tipo di carne I like a lot. There's a rostacini they make in the Campania. Yeah, I like this. This is a typical di Rome. Yes, I love that. Yeah. That's my favorite dish. And obviously all the red wine. Yeah. Yes. Oh,
In Italy, red wine and wines in general. Very.
Italy for wine. I live in Salento, so we have the Rosato. It's incredible.
We know we have friends, common friends there, and we know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Starting from the beginning, how did you start drumming?
In my kitchen with pots and pans. And my grandmother was a pianist, and she was my babysitter. And she would practice in the mornings, in the day, and sing and these things. And I would just take the pots and pans and play with her. And finally, they got me a little drum set. And no one understood how I understood how to play the drum set. But I had been watching enough. Yeah. And I've just repeated what I saw. And then my grandmother realized I had an incredible memory as a child. So I would hear a record and be able to repeat to the best of my physical ability at that time what I heard. But I was trying. At 3 and 4, I would listen and try to repeat what Max Roach did on the record, what Billy Cobham did on the, what Earth, Wind and Fire. Yeah, I started easy. And yeah, she said, okay, we have to get him lessons. And my parents aren't musicians. My dad is a professional boxer, and then later became an urban planner, and then he was a syndico of the Bronx, and then later became a senator. And my mother is an educator in childhood education, childhood psychology. So she teaches teachers, and she was the commissioner for the Board of Childhood Education for the city of Harvard. They did other jobs away from music. Yeah, so, yeah. But my father understood that every career is not a, normal one. And he made a great life for us as a family with a not so normal path of a career. And he encouraged me to find the technical points on how to get it done. And that's it. That's it.
It's interesting because
and going, man. Yeah.
It's a question of your head.
You know, you hear a lot of no's when you first start, and you have to like ignore the no's. Otherwise, if you listen to no, you'll never do it. You'll just never do it.
Well, it's the boxer, the fighter mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I really like this image.
It's absolutely, no, it's true, but it's how I approach it. You know, you can't hear no, and if you get hit once, the fight is not over. You know, like, even with this injury, my father used to tell me, if you're not hurt enough that you have to stop, there's no excuse not to keep going. Like he would say, you hurt, go sit down. Don't do anything. If you hurt, you hurt. Sit down. If you're not hurt, if you're not hurt enough to stop, right? Exactly. In fact, this is my whole attitude with this. Okay, I'm hurting, but I'm not hurt enough to stop. We finished the tour.
Thanks, I really thank you for having your time for us. And
Appreciate it. Sorry to have to rush through the interview.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Really, very much. Thank you. Hey, Planet Drum.
MYLIOUS JOHNSON.